Hey guys, what's going on? Stefan with S&E's Garage. Today we're here in our 2007 Camry LE, and we're going to be putting a head unit in this car that's going to bring it in to the 2020s here. The factory head unit is, it's very bland. There's no touch screen, no Apple CarPlay, nothing. And when I get out of my 2021 Camry and get into this is what I used to commute to and from work. I literally feel like I'm stepping back into the Stone Age, and I do spend a ton of time in this car. I put about 5,000 miles on it in a month and a half. So I wanted to upgrade it. So what we did is we got a Sony Apple CarPlay head unit, the AX1000. It's nothing special. It's not, I wouldn't call it no frills, but it's like a base Apple CarPlay head unit. I got it from Crutchfield, and we're basically going to go over the install on this thing. We're going to pull this whole center stack out. We got to pull these vents out, these trim pieces here, the HVAC controls, and I believe we got to get this center stack out of the way too. And we're going to get the radio out. Now, one thing you are going to need if you have a Toyota is this PAC interface unit, which will allow you to keep your steering wheel controls and a couple of the other features that the car has. Now, I paid Crutchfield an extra $20 to go ahead and splice all of my wires together, just to save myself some time. I could have done it. I've done it before, but I pay them the $20, let them do it, and it just makes this whole thing a little bit more plug and play. Now, according to the directions on this, it is already programmed for the steering wheel controls. You don't have to program anything. So we're gonna see how it works. So the first thing we're gonna do is these pillar pieces here. You're gonna kind of pull on them like this. They pop right out. So here's one. Okay, and here's two. And the next thing that we need to do is get these two screws out here and here. So we're going to get them out. Then we're going to shift this thing into neutral. We're going to unscrew the shift knob right now. Actually, you turn it until it comes off, which is relatively easy. Okay. Once we get this off, let's see if we can do this without shifting it into neutral. We have to pull this trim piece here off. So this will all come off, but first you need to shut the door for the cup holder. So let's get this piece of trim out. There we go. Okay, so that's out. We're going to take our Phillips head screwdriver, and we're going to take these two screws out. Okay, number one and number two. I like to put the screws somewhere where I know I'm not going to lose them. So they are going to go right in here in the side. So they're in there. And now what we can go ahead and do is remove this center stack assembly here. So you're going to grab it from one corner, pry up like this, just give it a little pry, and this will also come right off. There is a connector you have to pull off here if you're going to take it all the way out. I'm just going to kind of set it back like this, and now we can go ahead and pull the cubby out. Now with the cubby, there are going to be some connectors behind there that we have to unplug. So let me get that out off camera, and I'll show you where we're at. Now, like I mentioned earlier, I did have to shift this into neutral to make enough room to get this out. Now that it's out, I'm going to pull these two connectors here off. There's one here for our cigarette lighter, so that's going to come out, and then there's one here for our factory auxiliary port. Let me unplug them, get this out of the way. Alright, so we got that out. Our next step is to gently pry this vent housing out. I'm going to see if I can do that while you guys are watching. I'm not sure if I can set you up correctly. Let's try to prop you up real quick with the screwdriver. Okay, so I'm just going to grab it at the corners and pull, and I'm going to see if I get any movement. I might have to get behind there with a screwdriver or a trim tool, but I'm going to try to just use my fingers. Just get in here real good and hole. Yeah, it ain't coming. What if I try from up top? Alright, let me go get a flathead. Let me wrap it in some tape or something so I don't scratch anything, and I'll be right back. Alright, so I took this flat blade screwdriver I have, and I wrapped it in like a felt so I don't scratch anything. And I'm just going to try to fit it in between the gap up here, in between it and either the radio or it and the dash. And we're just going to try to gently, more or less, pry these vents out like that without scratching anything. Okay, so like this, we're just going to pry. They came out. There's a plug back here for your hazard lights that you are going to have to unplug. If I can get my fingers on the release. Okay, so that's out. There we have that. So here's this. A couple of these clips popped out, but I have it right here. So we're going to put this aside as well. And now we have 4 10mm bolts. There's going to be 2 up here and 2 below, and then I believe the climate control and the radio is going to come out in one piece. So these are 10mm. So we're going to unscrew this, and we're going to take this one out. There's one. Okay, there's 2. And like I said, I put these all in one spot so I know exactly where they're at. So they are also going to go in the cubby that I showed you earlier, right down here by the driver's knee. Okay, so those 2 are out. And now we're going to take these 2 out down there. There's 1 and there's 2. So let me get them out off camera and I'll be right back with you. Let that focus. There we go. Alright, so we got our screws out up here and down there. And now, like I said, our whole radio is going to come out in one piece with the climate control module, like this. And then we just kind of have to get our hands up behind the radio and just start unplugging everything. Like so. Okay, so we got that unplugged, and we just have to unplug our climate control, and now everything is out of the way. The whole center stack's apart. So now what we have to work on is separating the HVAC control head from the radio. There's going to be 4 Phillips head screws. There's going to be 2 on this side and 2 on this side. And then we can pull the HVAC assembly off of the factory radio. So let me do that, and I'll be right back with you. Alright guys, so we're back in the garage real quick. I thought it was important that I show you this. In order to get the HVAC control head off of the bottom of the radio, you're going to have to take these 2 brackets off, and they are held in with these 3 little Phillips head screws, 3 on each one, so 6 in total. So once you get that off, you can pull the factory radio off of the HVAC control head. And what we need to do next is reinstall this HVAC control head on our new dash kit. Now, I put this dash kit in off camera. You're going to want to leave these 2 screws here and 2 screws there loose so you can adjust the radio once it's in the dash. So we're going to install this HVAC control head on this dash kit. It's going to be these 2 screws here and these 2 screws there with the 4 black screws that we took off earlier in the car. So we're going to go ahead and put this control head on, and we're going to slide this whole unit into the car. Alright, so we got our control head installed onto the dash kit. One thing we are going to need is these 2 yellow clips here and here off of the radio, because we're going to have to transfer them over to our new bezel once we get to that point. So we're just going to use a flat blade screwdriver, pop them off, and keep them aside. So those 2 yellow, green, whatever you want to call them, clips that we removed in the garage are now installed on this bezel here. We're going to put this aside for a little later. Up next, we're going to mess around with this wiring. There's a bunch of different options that this kit covers as far as Toyotas. So we just have to match these with our radio connectors here, and we just have to, you know, keep trying until we find the right ones. So there's one. I believe this is going to be one, and then this should be one. I didn't sound very confident when I said that, did I? Yes. Okay, so now we have all three of our connectors here that were from the radio installed onto the PAC unit, and if you can see, the lights for the PAC unit are on. So we have our 3 wires in, and we're just gonna kind of want to stick this in the back where it's not going to be, you know, in the way or make any obnoxious noises. So now we have a couple of different things we need to plug in here. This is the steering wheel control wire right here. So we're going to plug this into the back of the radio where it says remote, and then this is just simply going to plug right into the radio. Like I said, I paid Crutchfield the extra $20 to do all of the splicing for me, so it's less work. I am going to turn the ignition off while I'm doing this. So I'm just going to plug this in, like I said, into the remote. Alright. And then I'm going to plug this one in to the main radio harness until it clicks. This stupid thing is in my way. I'm gonna break that off. Don't need that. In. Okay. And now we're going to slide this radio into place, and we're going to use the 4 larger bolts that we removed earlier to screw this back in. Like I said, there's going to be 2 down there and 2 up top. So let me just prop you up a little bit. There you go. We're going to get the 2 up top right now with my nut driver here. So there's one here. And you're also going to want to make sure you plugged in your HVAC control head, because I can already tell you I just realized I forgot to do that. So we're going to find that plug and plug it in so that I have air conditioning. Let me see if I can get my hands under there and find it. Nah, we're going to pull this thing back out. See, this is why you pay attention. Because I would have gotten this whole damn thing together, and my air conditioning wouldn't have worked, and then I would have had to pull it all the way back out again. So let's do that now rather than later. Okay. So the air conditioning control head wiring should be in here somewhere. I just have to locate it. It's just one little gray wire. Here it is right here. Alright, so we're going to plug that in. Okay, take 2. We're back in business here. Okay, so now let's put it back together. Alright guys, so I did power this thing up just to see that it works, and it does power on. One thing I did do off camera that I totally forgot to do is run my microphone and its wiring. So I ran the wire up through the headliner, down the pillar, underneath my kick pad, and that also now goes behind the radio too. So we're going to go ahead and put our 4 screws in, and we're going to start test fitting everything together, because like I said, we might have to adjust this radio, the depth. So let's give it a shot and see how it is. Alright, so like I showed you before, we routed our microphone down through the A-pillar. That works. I have hands-free calling now. My steering wheel controls, like I said, they do work. I can change different modes. I can go to the tuner. I got volume on the steering wheel, so that is all still functional. So what we're going to try to do now is see how this bezel here fits on the radio. And like I said, we may have to, you know, pull this back out and adjust the radio. but I'm hoping that, you know, it's already adjusted the way that I'm gonna want it. So let's try to slide this in and you know, see how it comes out. Alright guys, so I pulled this back out. This radio was facing way too far forward, and then I realized that the easiest way for me to set this up is with the radio out of the car. So we're just going to loosen these 4 screws like I mentioned to you before, and we're going to slide this piece on, and then we're going to slip the radio forward until it fits perfectly in this bezel. So let me loosen these, and I'll show you what I come up with when I'm done. Alright, so I got this radio depth set the way I want it. It's even all the way across. So now, I promise you, we can put this back in, plug everything that I already plugged in, back in, and we're going to be done. We could put those 4 screws in again, and then we can start putting in our vents. We got to plug in our hazard lights, and then we can start putting the, you know, the center console back together. So let's get back out to the car. Alright, so we finally have this thing to a point where I can start putting everything back together. So we're going to go ahead, we're going to plug in our hazard switch and slide that into place, and then we're going to get our center cubby, plug everything back in there, and then slide it back into place. Remember, you are going to have to shift your car back into neutral if you put it back in park to get that in. So let's get the vents in, let's get the cubby in, and we'll be back with you to put the center console thingy, whatever, back in. So we'll be right back. Alright guys, so we got our vents back in. We got our center stack back in. We put our 2 screws to hold the cubby back in. We put our console in, our shifter assembly, screwed the knob back on, and last but not least, we popped these 2 trim pieces in. The car is completely back together. The Apple CarPlay works great. We have our Pandora. We have our phone app. You know, you go to the keypad, you can dial numbers. You got your maps. So with that said, really simple, really easy mod you can do to your car to bring it into, you know, the 21st century. I know I was going crazy in this car. I couldn't listen to my music. I could do nothing. So I spend a lot of time in this car, as I'm sure most of you guys spend a lot of time in your cars, whether it's your commuter or your beater or your daily driver. You spend a couple $100 and it'll almost feel like you got a brand new car. So please like, share, subscribe. Thank you so much for watching. You guys make this possible, and we'll see you on the next one.